I watched a colleague repeat my exact point in a meeting and receive enthusiastic agreement. I had two options: say something and look petty, say nothing and look invisible. I chose a third option. I want to tell you about a Tuesday morning meeting that lasted 45 minutes and contained one moment that I've been thinking about ever since. Not obsessively, just the way you think about something that was small enough to ignore and specific enough that ignoring it felt wrong. That ground, work in a mid-sized company. I've been there 3 years. I'm competent at my job in the specific, quiet way of people who do what they say they'll do and don't need much managing, and therefore don't get much noticed. I'm fine with that. I'm not in it for the attention. I'm in it for the work, and the work is decent. The Tuesday meeting was a strategy session. 8 people around a table, mixed levels, some senior, some not. The kind of meeting that has an agenda nobody fully read in a 90-minute slot that everyone knows will run over. I had a point to make. Had been thinking about it for a week. It was a good point. I want to be accurate about that. Not because I need validation, but because the story only works if the point was actually good. It was a contribution to the central problem the meeting was trying to solve. Specific, actionable, based on something I'd noticed in the data that other people hadn't flagged yet. I made it about 20 minutes in. Clearly, with the appropriate context. Not too long. I know how to read a room. I said what needed saying and stopped. 2 people nodded. 1 person wrote something down. The meeting moved on. Not dismissed, not engaged with, just absorbed into the air and moved past. Fine, this happens. Not every point lands when you make it. I let it go and kept listening. 11 minutes later. I know it was 11 minutes because I checked the time when the point was made and checked it again when this happened. A colleague on the other side of the table made the same point. Not similar, the same. The same central observation, the same supporting logic, and the same proposed action. Articulated with slightly different words and significantly more confidence. The room responded immediately. Someone said, "That's a really good thought." Someone else said, "Yes, exactly that." The senior person at the head of the table nodded slowly, in the specific way of senior people acknowledging something worth acknowledging. I want to be precise about what I felt in that moment, because it wasn't rage and it wasn't hurt. It was something more disorienting. The specific experience of watching a thing you said become a thing someone else said, and having no mechanism to bridge that gap in real time. Without looking like the person who says, "Actually, I said that first," which is the one thing nobody in a professional setting can say without losing more than they gain. I looked at the colleague. I should tell you I barely know this person. We've been in maybe 4 meetings together, exchanged perhaps 12 words outside of them. I have no relationship with them to speak of. No history, no tension, no dynamic. Which makes what happened more absurd, not less. This wasn't a complicated interpersonal situation. This was a person I barely know, accidentally or not accidentally. Repeating my point 11 minutes after I made it in a room that apparently has an 11-minute delay on receiving information from certain directions. The colleague was not looking at me. The colleague was basking, professionally, appropriately, in the specific warmth of a room that had just decided they'd said something valuable. I said nothing. The meeting continued. My point, now the colleague's point, became part of the discussion. People built on it. It shaped the rest of the session. It was as I had believed when I made it the first time. A good contribution. I drove home thinking about the 11 minutes. Here's what I did. Not immediately. After the meeting, I went back to my desk and did my work and ate my lunch and had 2 more calls. And by 4 o'clock, I had almost let it go. Almost. At 4:15, I sent an email to the senior person who had nodded. The email said, "Great discussion today. I wanted to follow up on the point about the data gap." I flagged something similar in my notes from last week, and it's good to see it getting traction. Happy to share the analysis if useful. That was it. No mention of the colleague, no timeline, no asterisk pointing to the 11-minute gap. Just a casual, professional follow-up. That happened to establish that I had been thinking about this point before it existed in the meeting. The senior person replied within 20 minutes. Said, thanks for flagging. Said, yes, please share the analysis. Said, looking forward to it. That was the acknowledgement. No dramatic vindication. No public correction. No moment where the room reassembled and gave me what the colleague received. Just noted quietly by one person in a reply that will live in an email thread nobody will read again. I sat with that for a while. It wasn't enough. I want to be honest about that. The rational part of me understood that this was the appropriate professional response and that pushing further would cost more than it gained, and that the senior person now had the correct information about who originated the analysis, and that was functionally what mattered. The other part of me, the part that sat in that meeting and watched 11 minutes erase 20 minutes of thinking, was not satisfied. Those two parts are still negotiating. I've decided that's fine. You don't have to be fully at peace with something to handle it correctly. You just have to handle it correctly. The analysis went in the following morning. It was thorough, it was good. It had my name on it in 3 places, including the header. The colleague sent me a message the next day, said great analysis. It said it really built on what we were discussing in the meeting. We, I replied with a thumbs up. Some battles you win by knowing you won them even when the room doesn't.